Recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. For years, anybody who questioned weather modification was labeled crazy or a conspiracy theorist. Now we've learned that they've been doing it for decades. And not only is it a multi-billion-dollar industry, the government has invested a lot of Americans' hard-earned tax dollars into it. They've been forced to spin it, and apparently it is now the only way we are going to save humanity. However, let's look at the risk. According to GAO, injecting a cloud with silver iodide increases precipitation anywhere from 0 to 20%. It could be even more, but the truth is that we really don't know for certain. The questions that are asked is, can you control the exact amount of precipitation that a cloud will produce if it is injected with silver iodide or another cloud seeding agent? Can you control where the precipitation is going to land with 100% certainty? Can you say that it will not cause or enhance flooding with 100% certainty? Is there any way to measure with absolute certainty the effectiveness of seeding a cloud? Do we know with 100% certainty how much rain a cloud would have produced if it had not been seeded? And lastly, did the American people ever get to have a say in any of this? The truth is that there's absolutely no way to measure the effectiveness of cloud seeding. But something else that needs to be known is the American people deserve to know that there is very little rules and regulations over this. These companies that perform cloud seeding and other types of geoengineering projects have to fill out forms from NOAA, and they have to list what agents they're using. And there is a category that simply says other, and they don't have to even fill out what other means. And I think that's extremely concerning. But I'd like to talk a little bit more about solar geoengineering. It's completely different. More consequential approach to human manipulation of the planet's climate. One geoengineering company called Make Sunsets injects aerosol into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight back into space. I want to show you their frequently asked questions page on their website. Mr. Pielke, it says here, it says, what are you doing? It says, we're using balloons to launch reflective clouds into the stratosphere. And then it says, why? It says, unless we reflect sunlight, tens of millions of people will die, and 20% of species may go extinct. We're using the most effective way to reflect sunlight that we found and can afford to deploy. Mr. Pielke, is it true that tens of millions of people will die if they don't do this?
There's nothing you can find in the IPCC or other scientific literature to suggest that's a consequence. Sometimes those stark claims are made to try to scare people into other forms of action on climate change. So if you don't change energy policy, we're going to mess up the stratosphere, and that's how I interpret that.
Sounds like a major threat to make for their company to make money. They said, how long do Make Sunsets clouds stay in the sky? Depending on the altitude and latitude at which we release them, anywhere between 6 months and 3 years. They also say, is it legal? They say, yes, it falls under the Weather Modification Act. Then they have a question here, Mr. Marks, I would like you to stop doing this. And they say, and we would live a future with breathable air and no wet bulb events for generations to come. Convince us there's a more feasible way to buy us time to get there, and we'll stop. We'll happily debate anyone on this. Mr. Martz, they don't think that the rest of us have a say in this. How do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that the claim that the air is not going to be breathable is just patently ridiculous. Carbon dioxide, although it is a greenhouse gas, and yes, I do agree that some of the warming, at least, that we've seen in the last 100 years is probably due to CO2 emissions. There's no indication that the air is going to become unbreathable. It makes up 0.04% by dry air volume of Earth's atmosphere. And submariners in the Navy are subject to concentrations exceeding 5,000 parts per million and are just fine.
Well, let me ask another question, Mr. Martz. You know, it's sulfur, right, that is put into the air. Is there health consequences for people, especially like after volcanic eruptions? Is there health consequences to that type of injection into the atmosphere?
Well, sulfur dioxide, if it's injected into the stratosphere, obviously it blocks out solar radiation, and so that would potentially, if it's implemented on a large enough scale over a long period of time, it could reduce crop yields because obviously plants need sunlight to grow. They need water and CO2, just basic photosynthesis. And there's also concerns that if it gets into the troposphere, it could create acid rain, and that is called acid deposition into the soil. And that makes it hard for plants to obviously to grow, and that harms plant and animal life as well. Obviously,
Mr. Martz, I'm out of time. Thank you very much. I now recognize